I'm thinking about it.
No, not like that.
Wait, how I can move my nose?
No. Have you guys ever seen Bewitched? I can't do it. Mm. Wait, like. Duck face. That's a duck. This is the outline of the fish. I went. What are we gonna do? What if they just gonna be really boring? My fingers are demented. I do. Like, remember our last video? Random dancing. Hey, you. Hi! Hello, you two. We were so little. Like, only last summer. Hey, sexy lady, what's your name? I look like a kid.